Okay. Okay, greetings to the 100 family, to all the friends of the 100, mostly in London because we're the 100 Black Men of London, but pretty much across the world as we have come to discover. Today, we are doing kind of a mini workshop snippet from a great program that we have at the 100 Black Men of London called the Black Owned Business Program, which we created to help Black entrepreneurs to figure out how to build their businesses and take it from kind of the small micro level up to becoming greater businesses. And we created this program that we delivered physically in-person workshops, but kind of with COVID, we decided that this is really something that we should look to put and push online. So this is kind of a shortened version of one of the modules that we deliver called How to Grow Your Black-Owned Business. I think we got a slide actually that we'll put up in a second to show how to grow your Black-owned business. So what I want to do first of all is actually show you and introduce you to the team. You can see 4 great guys here. First of all, in order, I'm going to go to Derek because you're to my right. Introduce yourself, please, sir.
Hi. My name is Derek Harriott. I joined the 100 Black Men of London in the summer of 2019. So almost 2 years since I've been here. I'm a YLA, which is the Youth Leadership Academy mentor. I'm part of this great team, the Economic Empowerment team. My day-to-day or my profession is a software engineer or fintech software engineer. And I've got several business. One's a lifestyle company where we buy goods from Africa and sell here in the UK. I've also got a car rental business and a mobile car wash business.
Cool. Where's my car, man? What's going on? All right. Thank you, Derek. Great to have you on board. Next, kind of in order, is Marvin.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, all. My name is Marvin Critchlow. Again, like Derek, I'm a proud member of the 100 Black Men of London. I've been a member since 2018, so 3 years now. I was also part of the Young Leadership Academy, along with Derek. And I'm part of this proud team, as you can see today, the Economic Empowerment team. My day job, I'm a project manager for a local government. And I also dabble in a lot of voluntary work that I do. I'm also a podcaster, and I've got several other ventures on the side that I'm also expanding at the moment as well.
Excellent. Even though I haven't had an invite to the podcast. Soon. And then Stefan, over to you, sir.
Oh, hello there, everyone. My name is Stefan Yahori. I'm a proud member of the 100 Black Men of London since 2018. I love this economic empowerment group, which is one of the group that I'm basically part of. In terms of outside my or other activities, I'm an online fitness coach. I've got a hair extension company, and I recently just basically launched a new podcast which focuses on small Black businesses. So that's pretty much it.
See, another podcaster, man. And I use that. So I use Stefan for the fitness, made me know how unfit I am. And the hair extensions, man, I don't know how we're going to do that, but we need products. Okay. And of course, I am Kola Relation Ike, and I am a barrister, also communication skills coach, and been a member far longer than these youngsters here since 2004. Also former president of the 100 as well. So that's me. This is part of the team of the 100 Black Men's Business Program. Have a couple of other members who weren't able to make it today, but we know they are with us in spirit. So let's go forward. Derek, your slides, man. Can you pull up the slides? Because I think it'd be useful to have some slides as we do this. There we go. So because today we're going to be talking about growth, what we thought really we should be thinking about is why does growth matter? And Marvin, I know you've always thought a lot about this. So Let's hand over to you to kind of tell us about this part. Why is growth important for Black businesses?
Sure. Thanks, Kola. So why is growth important? I'm sure this is one of the reasons why many people are here, and they want to hear about the kind of amazing work we've done and what we can impart to them. So the research that we've done as the 100 Black Men of London shows that the large majority of Black businesses never grow, unfortunately, beyond a small, micro, or one-person business level. So I can hear you all out there asking, what is a small business? How would we define a small business? So if you look at the definition of a small business from Companies House over here in the UK, that's defined as a business that has no more than 50 employees and also no more than 6.5 million in annual turnover. So as you can see by that definition, that we haven't got many medium or large Black-owned businesses, because even yourself, you may not be able to name many Black businesses that have more than 50 employees that you know, or that have an annual turnover of more than 6.5 million. So to let you know why this is so important to our community and to us as a people, the consequence of us not having many Black businesses beyond medium or large, or sorry, beyond small into the medium or large category, as a consequence, it means that we don't employ enough people within our own communities. As a knock-on effect, it also means that we don't spend enough money within our own communities. A consequence of that will then mean that we don't have wealth to hand down to our children. And then the knock-on effect of that is that as a consequence, we don't then have the economic and political power to change things for our community. On an individual level, as a business owner, it also means that we're only one bad month away from the edge of bankruptcy. And finally, I'm sure you all agree, along with COVID, it's shown us that there is a great importance to be able to grow your businesses. We've seen many businesses grow and flourish during this COVID pandemic, but also many businesses have unfortunately had to close down and had to shut their services because they weren't able to adapt and they weren't able to grow.
Wow. You know, so what's interesting about that is the definition of what a small business is. I imagine for many people, they'll be surprised that that feels like quite a large business, right? It was up to, what was it, 50 people?
50 people and 6.5 million, yeah.
5 million, but that's still considered a small business. So, I mean, gosh, how many Black businesses do we know that are actually have moved beyond that?
Not many.
Not many, yeah, I'm stumped.
Yeah. I mean, I know a couple that probably have done it turnover-wise, but they don't have the people. It's interesting. Yeah, that's a real kind of challenge.
Definitely. I mean, just even having 50 employees, you wouldn't call that a small company.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But even just trying to make 6.5 million as a turnover, you wouldn't think that's a small company there.
Yeah, but I like the points you were making about, which in a way is, you know, thinking about why it matters, which is, right. It means we're not employing people, right? Because Black businesses very often will tend to employ, well, certainly will do a better job of employing other Black people than a lot of other businesses, right? But it means we're not employing our people. We're not paying. And that thing you said about not passing our wealth on to our children, that kind of hit me a bit hard, because it's like, yeah, that's a big deal.
And I think it helps you to understand what other communities have been able to do. So the reason why they flourish from generation to generation is that they are able to hand down, and they are able to kind of make their stake within, you know, whether it's this country or international, they're able to have that impact. So generation upon generation, they're able to continue to grow and go from maybe a small to a medium to a large business.
Yeah.
Do we even teach ourselves to do that, to give the generational wealth?
True.
You know, it's one of those things we don't really teach ourselves. Maybe now we're teaching it for our young ones and ourselves, but prior to that, I don't really recall it.
No.
Yeah. Although it's interesting, I know you guys would, I think it was you, Derek, was talking about cryptocurrency, right? And getting in on that. And I'm funny enough, I'm hearing more of the talk about crypto amongst Black community members, funnily enough. So I wonder whether that is something we will go in on. Who knows? Hopefully.
Should be the door opener.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to say a shout out to people who are watching. Feel free to post a comment or just introduce yourself, or if you have a question. I can see some already coming in, so well done for doing that. And I'll kind of give shout outs to people. But what should we, Marvin, what should we think about next? Actually, if we know why growth matters, what's next in my head?
Brilliant question, Colin. So I think, we know why growth is important. So I guess now we got to look at what are some of the ways that we can eliminate obstacles that are preventing us from growing. Yeah.
Well, let's think about, Stefan, have you got a few? I always like facts and stats, right? You know me, I'm a facts and stats guy. Have you got a few that will help us on this?
Oh, 100%. We've got a few. So the very first one, are we able to? Yeah, there we go. Okay. There's no point in speaking facts without having some
trying to find a guy that looked like you. Like, I wasn't sure.
He's missing the glasses and he ain't got a big beard like me.
Right. Okay. So here's your first one.
Okay. So there's the first one. So basically, 55% of businesses identify with cash flow being the number one challenge of growing their business. Now, for anybody that's watching this and has this business, you understand the real issue of cash flow, because without any cash flow, you're not able to pay your suppliers, you're not able to pay the bills, you're not able to pay yourself, you're not able to pay your employees. So cash flow is a very, very important key factor when you're trying to grow your business.
Yeah. And so many businesses just fail, not because they're not good businesses, but they don't get their cash flow right? Yeah. Okay.
Now, the other one, a very, very big factor or stat as well, is 77% of CEOs fear that lack of talent will stunt the company growth. So you may have a good company that's basically growing, but if you're not able to hire the right talent to take your business to the next level, it can actually decline your company because you may be operating on old models. Like, let's just take this this situation right now in terms of COVID. COVID changed literally a lot of business model. You know, they would. I'm from the fitness industry, and I saw a lot of gym owners literally just praying that COVID would just disappear so they can go back to the gyms. And we've all seen, we've been in about 3 or 4 lockdowns, and they basically stuck to the old model. And when you hire talent, you're able to have someone that basically brings new ideas, so your company can ride through any sort of crisis.
Yeah. I like the idea of bringing new talent. I think there's an echo with someone, but I like the idea of bringing new talent. Okay.
Yep. Now, 2/3 of the fastest growing companies fail to become self-sustaining. So that is one of the biggest problem when you have a company in yourself. A company is not a company, or a business, should I say, is not business unless it's able to sustain itself. You shouldn't be there on a 24 hours a day version. You should really be able to step away and literally let the business run itself, basically because of the system you put in. So that is another very, very important factor that you should consider if you're planning on having a business, or if you already have a business and you want to take it to the next level, is how do you make it self-sustaining?
I like this one.
Now, that is for all my entrepreneurs, my quote unquote hustlers. All right. So literally, the longer you stay in business, the more likely you'll stay in business. If you have a business, you know that every single day is like a warpath. There's something new that's coming at you. No one would have predicted in February 2020 that we was going to go through what we went through. And that is it. That is business. You've got to be able to hang in there and literally ride the wave, because the longer you stay in business, the more experience you have and the more benefit you will be able to bring to the market, or more value.
Yeah. Just the thought of just the longevity means that you're going to get a bigger customer base and just be able to succeed, ride the wave, all that kind of stuff. Definitely. Oh man, I like to keep going.
All right, so now this is for all my startups. 42% of startups that didn't make it say it was because they had a product that the market did not need. Whenever you're about to start a business, okay, unless you are literally somebody like, Jeff Bezos, these unicorns, you should really think about a product that the market requires. All right. It's always going to be very difficult for you to create the next Uber. I mean, for example, something like Uber, it was very difficult for them to actually bring it to the market because people are not able to understand, to see it. But once it caught on. So, but when you're coming up and you obviously do not have the funds of an Uber and you want to just basically get in the market, you have to think about what product am I bringing to the market that is going to solve a need. Not try to reinvent the wheel, literally just create a better wheel. So
it's a good example. I think one of you guys may have to go on mute. There's a bit of feedback, but it's a good example because Airbnb, people forget there's a time when Airbnb went into selling cereal packets, right, of Cheerios. They branded their own Cheerios just because they hadn't figured out exactly how to make what their product was really fit the market. So that's a good example.
I was just going to add on that as well, Stefan. I think, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And I think the point you made with companies like Uber, they had enough money that they could operate at a loss for so long until they saturated the market before they then went on to make a profit. And many businesses wouldn't be able to do the same. So you have to make a product that suits the market.
100%. I mean, just to add on that, just for example, Spotify, that business model was actually run off a bit of this is for people that are a bit my older generation, but if you remember Napster, LimeWire, this was illegal sites, and they created a model where record company didn't understand what we're going to just give our money, we're going to give our music for free. So they ran at a loss for a long time, but when you're starting up, it's going to be very difficult for you to run out a loss for the next 10 years. Either you're gonna, your partner's gonna file for divorce, or you're gonna find yourself on the street.
Right. Wait, let's move on, man. Before we
that's it. Okay, and then since 2010, the gross added value of the creative industry in the UK has grown by 53%. So that is also, you also need to look at figures in terms of where are markets that are rapidly developing when you're trying to basically create a new product or enter a new market.
Yeah, I know our VP of finance was saying that his accountancy practice really focuses on serving a lot of creatives. So that's a good thing to know, that kind of stat, as you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the combined annual turnover of SMEs is 2 trillion. That's basically 52% of all private sector turnover. So you got to think, when you are focusing on your small business, you have a potential power of, annual turnover of around 2 trillion. So do not let anybody make you feel that the small business is not a big part of the UK economy, because it is. 2 trillion is not something to gloss over.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. More than 1/3 of the fastest growing tech companies in Europe are based in the UK. So even though you are in the UK, you have to also think about other markets, and it doesn't only stop in the UK. It can be outside of the UK, even though we're no longer in Europe, but you still should consider a service or a product that can be shipped into different areas, because that's how you start to have that growth mindset. You shouldn't just think about your own area. This one is one that we all know and we can actually see, but the e-commerce sales in the UK will reach 150 billion by 2025. We're 2021, so literally in 3 years, we're going to see a major shift in terms of the way that we shop. And that is basically 30% of all retail sales already.
Wow.
Yeah, people need to jump on that.
Yeah, exactly. Now, one of the most reputable borough with the most startup registered each year is actually Camden. If you didn't know that, now you know.
I was surprised about that, actually. I'm like, what is in Camden that makes it like, what's in the water, man? Interesting. Listen, thanks for that. For those stats, Steph. It's kind of, I like that because it just gives a bit of context, right? One of the tough things about being an entrepreneur is you'll very much have your head down, and sometimes it's difficult to look up and see what's going on. So that's useful to have. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to people who are leaving comments. We've got a lot of comments from Andrew. Thank you, sir. He says small businesses collectively have a big influence with government. That's very true. A few other people have commented. Jeff, Biz, that guy. Donna Spence, Spencer as well, one of our people. So yeah, if you're watching this, feel free to put in a comment, especially if you have a question. Okay, but thank you very much for that, Steph.
No problem.
Go on. Derek, I think you're kind of going to give us the outline for how we're going to approach growing Black businesses.
Yeah. So there's 3 steps to sustainable growth. So let's hear them. So step 1, find your product market fit. This is when you're creating a business and it's capable of growing because it satisfies enough customers' basically needs. You got step 2, which is going to eliminate the obstacles to growth. So if you imagine you're driving along and all of a sudden you said, all right, I'm going to floor it. You're flooring it. And then you forgot that the handbrake's actually on. That handbrake is an obstacle in your growth in that point. Or if you imagine you've got flowers and you just like, I'm going to grow these flowers, and you put them into a pot, but you forgot to turn the earth over. You forgot to put the plant food in. You forgot to take the weeds that could have been in there. Those three obstacles will be eliminating your growth within the plants. So, the first thing you need to do, you need to eliminate all your obstacles, so you got a clear path so your company can grow or your business can grow.
The way you talked about that handbrake thing was like you have some boy racer history or something.
Let's not go there. I love cars, but that one resonates with me.
Yeah. Okay. And then third step.
So the third step, use the 7 levers of growth. Now, these levers are all different, and each one of them for your business will either do a small step or a larger step. But ultimately, when you do use these levers, your business will grow upwards and onwards.
Yeah. What I like about that, and I know we're going to go into the detail of each one, is I always like things being broken down, right? So I like things being put into 3 steps or the 5 parts or the different strategies, because one of the things I think is tough with being an entrepreneur is there's so much you have to figure out by yourself, so much trial and error. And, a lot of times there's motivational people who say, oh, you can do it. And it's like, okay, yeah, fine. I've got the belief, but how do I do it?
Yeah.
So I think that's why I really like the business program was we really thought about what are the steps that people can take that will actually help them move forward, as opposed to just the motivational mindset stuff, which is important, but it's only a small part of it.
That's right. Right.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys what was your experience when we were doing the program of how you found the entrepreneurs on the program took to the way we broke things down?
I think for me, for people that were operating as an individual, like an individual entrepreneur, there's a lot of, I guess they're stuck in the echo chamber sometimes, even down to what they Google. They're only going to Google things they're currently thinking about and they're aware of. And as you always know, there's unknown unknowns. Like there's so many things that you're not even aware of, you don't know exist, but you need to network. You need to be involved in communities that can open your eyes to other ideas. I think Stefan made a great point with some of those businesses like Spotify and Uber. They were laughed at initially because they were surrounded by people that thought in one particular way. However, they're laughing now because of what they've been able to go on to do. So I think, operating independently can be quite isolating, and it can mean that, you just haven't got that growth mindset as I think Derek mentioned earlier.
100%.
Yeah. How do you find it with your business, Steph, in terms of, because I know you've got the 2 main businesses.
Yeah.
But do you go through that period where it just feels like, man, there's just so many things I've got to do? Like you lose, which one should I do? Which one should I do first?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're trying to run a business, there's just problems every day that occur that you never imagined were there. When you first got into it, you thought that it was going to be really simple as, 1 + 1 = 2. But then you realize actually it might be 2.7, and on a different day it could be 2.3. So you have to approach everything really from a point of view of a problem solving. That there is always problems that are going to arrive, and how do you make sure that those problems do not stop your business? That's pretty much some of the fundamentals of it. So every time that I approach any of my businesses, I do approach it with the question of how can I make it better? How can I make the experience for my customer much better? How can I make that a customer tell somebody else about my business? That's really what I try to do.
How do you focus on which one you want to go for? So you got the 2 businesses, because I have this problem as well. I've got a couple businesses here, and I'm like, which one do I concentrate on first? How do you get over that challenge? Which one do you,
So how do you? I've learned to basically really be disciplined in terms of my time management, and really allocate a lot of time towards the one that at the time will need most of my time. And literally that's how I try to basically focus on my time management and make sure that we really just focus on making sure that all my energy and focus goes into that.
Yeah. Well, let's go on to that step one, right? So let's give a bit more detail, because obviously the important thing, the first step is finding that product market fit. And as Derek kind of outlined, product market fit is really about finding the product or the service, right, that is exactly right for your market. Because one of the toughest things in growing a business is to have something that isn't exactly what the market wants, right?
Exactly.
You can put in all the effort, all the ingenuity, but if at the end of the day, you've created something that customers, just for whatever reason, don't really want or need or feel that they need, man, it's like, running through mud, right? Or sand, or dust. Everything feels like a grind. Whereas if you flip it and you find the thing that your customers really do want, then everything feels so much easier.
Exactly.
Right? So a few principles we're going to kind of look at in terms of identifying and making sure you can have your product market fit. I think, Stefan, why don't you and I kind of take this and kind of go back and forth on it. So first is, who's your ideal customer? So tell us about that, man.
Okay, so one of the biggest problem that I had when I first started on the online fitness industry is I wanted to basically train everyone. Now, when you try to train everyone, you don't understand that everyone has different problems. You know, a man and a woman have two different vision when it comes to fitness. You know, women most of the time just want to get, aesthetically good and just feel more attractive. A man may want just to build more muscle and feel more stronger. So how do you communicate that message across? Because if you start talking about you're going to be lifting heavy weights, you're driving all the women away. If you're talking about, oh, my classes are all about bums, tums, and I forgot the next one. That's really bad. But all the men are running away. So I had to really think about my ideal client, my ideal customer. Because once you have an idea of who your ideal customer is, then all of your branding, marketing, communication, everything is aimed towards serving this one person. I mean, this one idealistic person. So that's how I see it.
And what I like about that as well is, or at least what I think is important about that is, it means you have to be disciplined, right? Because it will be so easy to think, oh, that's my ideal customer, but then somebody comes along who's not my ideal customer. Oh, but I can do them as well. Oh, I don't want to miss out. And you start kind of spreading yourself, and then you end up appealing to no one in particular.
Exactly.
I think you've got to be really disciplined about, okay, this is my ideal customer. That's who I'm going to stay laser focused on. Even if other people that might like my product come along, I'm not going to make my target them. I'm going to target my ideal customer in particular.
Definitely not.
Okay. So the next one is your growth target. And one of the funny things when we did the program in the workshop was so many of our entrepreneurs didn't have a target, right? It was just, let's see how things go. Can we improve? Hey, maybe tomorrow will be better, right? As opposed to, no, I want to hit 1 million in 1 year, or 20,000 in 1 year, because that's where my business is, right? Or in 3 years, I want to be here. Just not having a target. And I think when you start thinking about, I want to grow my company, you got to get serious, right? Business is hugely numbers. So you've got to get serious.
Numbers.
Right. And I think entrepreneurs really have to get into that habit of being much more determined about what they want to do. So set that growth target. Whether you are the kind that sets ambitious ones or conservative ones, that's up to you as an entrepreneur, right? But have a target, because once you have it, then you start seeing, hey, I didn't move closer today, or wow, I went over where I would need to be this time next year, whatever it is. So definitely have a target, I would say, in terms of identifying your product.
Just adding a little bit around that is, sometimes as an entrepreneur, and when you're when you're working as a one-man army, you can get so caught up in the creative side that you forget the numbers side. You may be focused so much on the logo, the packaging, all of that, but you're forgetting that you need to make at least 5 sales today to achieve your target. So having a target is very important, because it keeps you on track of what you need in terms of revenue for your business to keep the light on, basically.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say a piece on that as well. Sorry, guys. Yeah, in my day job as a project manager, I find that when you don't have a target, you can't, as Stefan said, you can't measure yourself against anything. So that way, the goalpost is always shifting. And sometimes you need like a drop dead date to say, I need to have done X by Y. If I haven't, I need to evaluate. I need to see what's gone wrong, see what I did right, see what didn't work, what did work, and then you can review it and refresh it. Whereas if you haven't got a target, you're just always kicking this ball down to, you know, as far as you can. There's no goal that you're aiming for, and you're never going to achieve the success because you haven't even defined what success looks like.
Exactly. I agree. With my first company, the lifestyle one, there was no target. We're just going to sell this. There was no target whatsoever. And we got some targets. Well, not targets. We made some goals, but we never actually defined those goals that we wanted to reach. You know, so it's
got to have that target.
Yeah,
exactly.
KBM Financial Focus says, yep, sometimes people are scared to set a target in case they fail. So they focus on the creative side, which I think was what you were saying, Marvin. And it's like, you know, you've got to, I kind of say to people, you've got to love both sides of your business. You've got to love the stuff that you started the business for because you were passionate about it. You've got to love all the other stuff that helps you do that. Like, so fall in love with every part of your business, right? And including setting your numbers. Let's go on. So next one is figure out, are there enough customers to hit your growth target? That's part of
this is it.
Fit. What do you think of that one there, Stefan?
Well, again, it's about analyzing your market and knowing exactly how many customers or how many numbers you will need to bring through the door or serve or provide service to be able to hit your target. It's again the numbers game. You know, sometimes we don't understand that to make £1,000, you need to either sell 2 products that cost £500, or it could be, you know, 1,000 products that cost £1. They don't understand that. So sometimes we just, you know, we hear big numbers. It's like, okay, I gotta make 10,000, but there's no concrete plan. Nothing's really dissected to, are you going to achieve £10,000? It's like, oh, you know, we just figure out, we just move towards the 10,000. So I think having a clear-cut target in terms of how many customers you need to hit that target is one of the fundamentals.
What was interesting when we did the program physically was so many of the entrepreneurs, I remember, okay, what's your target? And partly it was kind of a made-up number, but hey, that's where you are, right? Then it was, okay, so let's work out the maths of what it takes to hit that, right? And you could see that we just don't do that as entrepreneurs, right? No. Maybe sometimes it's a bit scary. Wow, when I know that it's going to seal, but you're right. It means that actually you can say, you know what? I actually only need to get 2 new customers a day to hit that number. Okay, I can do that if I do X, Y, and Z marketing or whatever. Yeah. Or you may realize, which is why this is really important, you know what? I'm in the wrong market. Yeah. Or my product isn't right, because there's no way I can get 1,000 customers for a £1, you know, product, right? Exactly. So really knowing what your target is and then analyzing, are there really enough people that I can reach that will help me hit that target? Really, really crucial. Exactly. Okay, wow. So what's next?
That's it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take this one.
God.
Because I tell you, the biggest aspect to any business is the need, right? What problem, what need your customer has that you are going to solve. Yeah. And so often people don't really laser down in on that specific need. And it's more than just the basics, right? Like if you're a hairdresser, right, or a barber, right, you can say, oh, people want their haircut. You know, that's the problem I solve. They need haircuts. But there's loads of barbers, right? So you want to laser in. It's like I know for me, one of the bugbears I had with black barbers was, you know, you go in and it's like, yeah, come, you're next. And then you're about to get up and some guy walks in on the street. Oh, no, he was here before. I'm like, man, now I'll be sitting down. I remember there's time that cut my son's hair. Halfway through, the guy just went off and got some lunch. So that became a big thing for me. And then a friend of mine started a salon halfway across town, but his whole thing was appointments. It was great service. I would go there all the time. because he'd identified the real problem I had, which was a great barber that does it professionally, on time, great service. That was what I personally really wanted. So really go deep on the problem, the detail of the problem, because then you'll figure out how you can start to solve it.
That's so true.
Yeah, which then leads us on to this one.
Is your solution or your product so great that your customer will cry if it didn't exist? So whenever you're going into a new marketplace, you need to really think about is what sets you apart from your competitors. What makes you so unique? Those are the fundamentals that are basically going to get you into that number one space, because you need to think that your product is so unique that if tomorrow you said, okay, guys, I'm going to close for a couple of days, people are literally like, no, can I still come? Can I still, even though you're closed, can I still arrive? Because you provide such a good service. So think about your unique selling point, USP. What makes you so different to your competition?
It's interesting. The USP, I know a lot of people struggle with, because what you kind of like, well, but I'm not unique, right? I'm a coach. There's loads of coaches, right?
Yeah.
But what I think you got to think about is how can you be uniquely special to your customers, right? So that your customers say, there are loads of them around, but no, you're the one that I want, right?
Exactly.
I want you. I'm not going to anyone else. And a big part of that is really figuring out that problem and then working out how can I solve it in a way that just makes my customer 100% satisfied.
That's it. 100%.
Speak to your customer, do your research, tweak your product, try this service. Think about add-ons, right? So like the barber I was telling you, right? You'd go in for the haircut, but because you were there, he also did a trainer refresh. So part of the service was you're cutting your hair. It's like, hey, your trainers, man, we'll refresh them for you. Like smile, or like me, I come in with my work suit. He'd shine my shoes, right? I'm like, man, when is the last time I had like a shoe shine? As a result, I was like, man, this is like, that's it. So really think about how can I create a solution that if I was not there, my customer wouldn't just shrug it off and like, yeah, fine, I'll go next door, right? They would cry, as you were saying, Stefan, they would call you up and say, no, please, just give me like whatever you can do, I'll pay you more, right? You'll find people like, no, I'll pay you more, that kind of thing. So Derek, Marvin, you've been listening to this. How does that feel as a template for finding your product market fit?
Sounds great. I mean, that last part you just said, I think I want to know where that barber's is, I get a little trim there, trainers freshen up, boy, that bonus part, that sold me, that extra little bit. So no, I definitely think every point here, every bullet point is really ideal. As I said, when I first started out, we knew who our ideal customer was, but a target for growth, no, we didn't have that. Did we do anything extra? We did at the very later on end of the game, but if we thought about it more in the beginning, we might have had a bigger customer base. So no, definitely step one's on point.
I think as well, for me, it makes me feel special as a customer to know that a business has done this in terms of trying to acquire me as a customer. To know that they thought about it this much makes me feel special. And I think that's the impact you want to have a lot of the time. You want your customer to leave feeling like they were the most important person in the world. You had all the time in the world for them and you catered to their needs. You might feel upset if you peeked around the corner and saw them doing exactly the same thing with the next customer, but it's all about that unique selling point and making you feel special.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that special feeling. I remember like the difference between the London Olympics when I went, and the volunteers were fantastic, man. So much passion and energy, thought about everything. I remember I went to one of the stadium and great service. And then I went to, actually, I better not name them, but I went to a supermarket anyway. I was like, oh, excuse me, I need some milk. Where's the milk? Over there. Oh man. And like trial aisle 17, it's like, oh man, no. And as a result, I didn't have any loyalty to them. So yeah, you've got to make your customers feel special, then they will think you're special.
Exactly.
Okay, so look, that's your product market fit. Step 2. What was step 2 again, Derek?
So step 2 is going to be eliminating the obstacles to growth.
Yes. Okay, eliminating those obstacles. Well, since you reminded us of it, why don't you, Marvin, kind of tell us a bit more about this one?
Do you want to kick off first, Marvin?
Yeah, sure. Happy to kick off. So yeah, I think as you said before, I think from your boy racer days, trying to drive off with your handbrake still on, I think it's important that you identify what those growth obstacles are, because otherwise, again, without a plan, you're doomed to fail. You're planning to fail. So you need to understand what some of those obstacles are. So as Colin's been saying, you can laser in and focus on them, and then that growth is going to be on the other side of that obstacle. So if we go through some of the bullet points, starting with the first one. So poor customer service. I'm sure everyone, Colin's given a few examples, and I'm sure everyone's got examples of dealing with businesses that deliver poor customer service. I think it's sad to say that it's actually it's an inside joke within the Black community as well. That you go to certain businesses, whether it's a barbershop or a hairdresser's. I got long hair, so I go to hairdressers. I go there for my appointment, but I might be there 2-3 hours after that before I've even been seen. And similarly, when you go to Black food shops as well, unfortunately, we've become known as having poor customer service, which isn't always true, but it's now been seen as synonymous with Black businesses. And I think what's quite important to highlight with that, just as what we were saying before about feeling special, is think about what your competitors are doing. You might think that what you're doing isn't that bad, but when you see how good your competitors are treating their customer, you understand why they have all the customers. I'm quite loyal to, let's say Apple, for example, but you go into Apple, you feel like the most important person in the world. They have all the time for you. They'll speak to you. You come back with an issue. They'll cater to your needs. You call them up, you web chat with them. Anything you do, you're going to feel important. You're going to feel like your issue matters to them. And I think that's what other brands need to do. They need to say, okay, what does customer service look like, when it's done at its best? And then where am I when measured in comparison to that? What would you say, Derek?
No, I agree. That's an interesting one with Apple, because I think they make you not only make the customer special, they actually make their staff feel special in that sense.
True.
Because they call their staff, is it geniuses or something like that? For those guys, so they already empowered their staff to be more better for serving the community or whoever steps through that door. So I totally.
I think there was something with Apple where they eliminated sales targets so that their staff members, their only job was to 100% satisfy whoever the particular person they were speaking, which included saying, don't buy this here, buy somewhere else. Because they were thinking long term, if we develop trust and just great service, then they're going to come back to us and they're going to see us as kind of the long-term deal. That's
right. So poor finances, we heard Stefan talk a lot about numbers. We definitely need to know our numbers in this game. Whether it's business, whether it's trading, anything where you're going to make some sort of profit or some sort of sales, we need to know our numbers. Also cash flow. We got to make sure that we know our cash flow is correct and it's not poor. And also the profit margin. We could be selling products, but are we selling it at the right price to make sure we can buy back products and still make a profit out of it? Go on.
I was going to say, I've got a good example of that, Derek. I think it might have been before you joined the YLA, but we were using your brand. We were using ODIP, and we were selling products. We were selling at the time. We were selling hoodies, and so the young people, they're really excited. They had these hoodies. I think we had purchased them from you via Damon. It may have been about £20 or £25, and we gave it to them, and they saw that as their highest ticket item. So if they sell as many of those as they can, they're going to make as much money. How much did they sell them for? £25. So when it came to totaling up the balance at the end, they had sold it at cost price. So when we took them back into the room and we explained it to them, they figured out, had we just sold it for £1 more or £10 more, we would have made exponentially more profit than we did, but we pretty much broke even because they sold the item at the same price they bought it. And that goes straight back to your point about understanding the finances, because had they known that ahead of time, which is what the whole program was about, they would have knew. But when they learned that first time, they made sure not to make that same mistake again.
That's good.
I hope you didn't tell them about operating costs as well. That would really.
Oh yeah, that was the next lesson. So on the back of that, Derek, I guess it's looking at poor admin. How many times have you yourself gone into a business, not just necessarily a black business, but any business, and asked for a product or expected a product that wasn't there? And that's down to the business not understanding what stock they have, not understanding what's available, what isn't, and even sometimes, especially with online businesses, taking that product offline when they no longer have it available. I've had no more frustration than when I've ordered something and then got an email to say, unfortunately, that product's not in stock. I'm thinking, but you allowed me to make the transaction, you took my money, and now you're telling me my money's going to come back in 3 to 5 days for a product that you don't even stock. And, it's just disappointing. So I think admin is very important when it comes to things like managing your inventory, also knowing your accounts. There's consequences to things such as not filing your accounts on time and not submitting them to HMRC. I know, and Andy works for HMRC, so if he was here, he'll have a lot to say about that. But yeah, things like not submitting your accounts to HMRC, there's a knock-on effect to that. So it's so important to understand how to operate admin within your business.
Just to add, I think also that with admin comes contracts. We should also think about, when we're doing deals with people, make sure we've got a contract and shake that hand, get a piece of paper signed, and as long as you deliver, they should honor your contract. So that's another part of old man. We're usually so caught up in the mindset, oh, we said we're going to do it, they said they're going to do it, but there was no actual agreement to do it. So let's make sure that admin's on point.
As you say that, I think of a funny example. Sorry, Carla. I think of a funny example that I heard recently. I don't know. I'm sure you guys know the Cisco song, the Thong Song. And I don't know if you know the backstory to that song. So he says a line in the song, which is "Living La Vida Loca."
All right.
And so he felt, because he had a relationship with the writer of the song who wrote the song for Ricky Martin, he just said, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll get it cleared. Don't worry about that. Leave that to me." So as a result, no one in his team inquired, and they all trusted that he would get it cleared. Would you now believe that till this day, the writer of Ricky Martin's song gets paid more in royalties than Cisco and the whole production team, just because he used that line in the song without getting it cleared?
Wow.
And that's probably his biggest song. But because he said that one line in the song several times, more money goes to the writer of Ricky Martin's Living La Vida Loca than to Cisco.
I did not know that story. I mean, the point I was actually making was, this is why I always say love the business side of things as much as the serving, the product, or whatever, because that's the part that makes everything else kind of possible. But man, I did not know that. Oh, I feel bad for Cisco now.
So, poor brand and marketing. Is your website up to scratch? A lot of people haven't got websites that are up to scratch. I mean, even I fell into that bucket where with one of my companies at the moment, it's on my to-do list. I know it's something I need to do, but just because I haven't put enough energy into that area, that's why it's kind of stepped behind. But I know it's there, and I know it's something I need to work on. So, and that's definitely something I need to pursue and push out there, So make sure if you've got your company and you're focused on it, especially in times like this for websites, COVID, you can't really see many people, definitely get your stuff online. Also, social media, how much of us actually pay attention to the social media? And if you're someone that doesn't, this is where you're meant to bring in someone the younger members of the family or the younger members around you, bring those guys on board, to make sure that they can bring your social media up, because that's something a lot of businesses lack. And also, generating the word of mouth. Now, for that, I would say you have to make sure that got a good product. And once you've got your good product, you send that out into the community. You tell your cousins, your family, they pass that message on to their friends and their family, and it just spans into a nice network over people, So the word of mouth is part of your marketing plan that you should also have.
And then on top of I guess everything we're saying here, it needs to be delivered by a leader. I think Derek, you made a good point about knowing who to make as part of your team and who to bring in from the outside, understanding that you yourself might not possess all the skills. So you need other people that you can delegate to, and they can perform tasks within the business. And so if you are, I think it was Stefan that made a point earlier, like you could be the owner of a business, but then you might have people working for you. If they don't understand the vision, when you're not around, they're going to be doing the bare minimum so they can collect their check, so they can collect their check at the end of every month. Stefan.
And if I just add on this, I don't know if you remember, but in economic empowerment group class. At the beginning, there was so many of the entrepreneurs that had that. I don't want to call it myth, but it's something that unfortunately a lot of entrepreneurs have is I don't want to tell my ideas and then my ideas get stolen. That was, there was a lot of that. And you've got to understand that no one is a one-man army. You need to be able to delegate. You can't be the social media guy. You can't be the accountant. You can't be the market, you can't be the website IT engineer, and you can't be at the same time the sales guy. Like, you can't do everything. So you need to be able to delegate. But at the same time, where that leadership comes in is you're saying this is the vision, this is where we're all going, so everyone needs to go there.
Yeah, and actually, just kicking off on that point you made, Stefan, one of the things that people often entrepreneurs struggle to understand is the concept of opportunity costs, right?
Yeah.
Which is, as you say, oh no, but I have to do, the marketing, the admin, the social media, because I can't afford to pay somebody to do it.
Yeah.
That makes sense in a limited fashion. But when you start thinking, okay, but wait, if I took that same 3 hours that I just spent, tweaking the website and doing social media, I delegated it or outsourced this to somebody who spends £10 an hour, right? So it cost me £30.
Yeah.
But with those 3 hours I spent, speaking to a particular client that I know is just on the edge of signing big, and I invest that time with that 3 clients, and that makes £3,000, right? You've made £3,000, or you've saved £30, which makes more sense. So, and that's very much part of leadership, which is understanding where you should put your time, and then getting a team around you that get your vision, so you can actually spend that time doing the things that count.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, famous one.
Just kind of touch based on the networking. So, how many of us actually go out as people to events to even see other people, meet other people, and understand how they grow their businesses?
Yeah.
We don't do it enough. Sometimes we go to small little gatherings, we get little pockets of ideas, but there are loads of networking events for people to dive into, get a better understanding of how to overcome these obstacles that we are currently facing. And we just don't take advantage of it. We definitely need to step up our game and take advantage.
100%. And it does. And I did see in a comment about humility. Sometimes a lot of entrepreneurs have this mindset where it's, if I go somewhere and I network with other people, it's almost like it's a transaction, like I need to give them something. It isn't. It's not always a transaction. Sometimes it's just a point of contact. Then you make a conversation with this person, so at least this person knows that you're specialized in this area. So when he comes across somebody that had a need for that, here comes a business that you didn't even see coming. So you should definitely be more open rather than close and think that you're going to be able to achieve everything on your own.
Yeah, I know we used to talk about your network is your net worth, right? If you can have the greatest business, but if you don't connect with other people that have access to other places, can say, hey, oh, you do that? You know what? My company actually needs that. Come in, let's have a chat, right? You will have a great business, but you just don't get that exposure, that access. But when you have the network, you have that exposure, that access. And then when you think of your network in terms of not just the person in front of you, but the person that they know that they might be willing to put you forward to, then your business takes off, really grows. But if you have a bad network, you kind of just always living small.
Yep.
I wonder if people need to be kind of taught how to network, because that might be the reason why we're all frightened to go and network.
Yeah. Well, my biggest tip on that is don't go out trying to sell.
Yes,
go out trying to have a good conversation that has nothing to do with business. Most of the time when I do networking, I talk about football and West Ham because I know everybody's got an opinion. So, okay, cool. So look, that's step 2. And I like that because I think a lot of times we don't think about what are the things I have to just get out of the way or sort out so that I have the chance to grow. As you were saying in your boy racer days, Derek, that handbrake That handbrake that's holding you back as the wheels are spinning and burning.
I know. Tearing out my tires.
Okay,
very quickly before I move in, I just want to add on the poor admin, because I know that sometimes when people think of admin, they just think paper, they just think paperwork and things like that. But admin can be everything to do with internal organization. So I know for a fact with my business, when it comes to hair extension, I need to be on point in terms of what stock I have, because I can't have on my website that I'm selling something, somebody will buy it, and then I come back saying, actually, I don't have it. They're going to be like, but it said on your website you had it, or it creates more problems.
Yeah.
So those are aspects that you should definitely be thinking about when you think of admin. Don't think just paperwork or just filing accounts. Just think of internal organization.
Indeed. There's a comment here from Facebook user. If you want to type your name as well, we'll know who you are. But it says, know me, like me, trust me, which I think goes to the networking part. Yeah. Just let people get to know you, like you, and trust you. And then they will come to you with, hey, you know what? You should, meet this person. She's like a big buyer in this area. And then your business takes off. Okay. So let's push on.
Yep.
To the actual 7 levers of growth, which is kind of, we promised we would get to this step, but I think you can't get to this step before you go through the first 2.
Yeah.
So, and what I'd like us to do is also to think about it in, let's use some specific examples, right? So we're going to take, let's say, a roti takeaway. One of our members, Chemo, had, I think he sold it, but had a roti takeaway business. So we're going to use this as an example. And then an accountant who serves creatives will use that as an example of a product-based business and a service-based business. And let's see if we can think of the different levers of growth specifically in relation to these businesses to kind of help make it a bit more concrete what these different levers are. So let's see. The first one, Stefan, what market penetration?
All right. So market penetration is usually at the very beginning. So let's say, for example, you just acquired a new area, I don't know, anywhere in central London. Let's make it very extravagant. You just acquired this area in Mayfair. All right. You're the only roti in the million mile. Okay. Now, how are you going to be able to literally penetrate that market and grab some of the market share? How are you going to basically turn your little shop into sort of the new Chinatown, so to say? So this is what market penetration is about. It's all about basically growing your market share that you currently go from maybe 3 to 5% all the way to 10%. So how you can do that? There's various ways. For example, you can pretty much go out there, and if you're brave enough, actually go to Chinatown and just hand out your flyers. Or obviously do more extended hours or create fine dining experience. So basically just accept different methods of payment. In the cryptocurrency era, maybe start accepting Bitcoin. Now all of a sudden you become the only restaurant in the whole of London that actually accept Bitcoin, USP, and at the same time you grow your market share.
Yeah, okay, so I get it. So it's about you're staying in your lane, but you're getting more of the customers that are available in that same market.
Exactly.
So, okay, so if we use that for the roti business, right, what could a roti takeaway do to grow its market share?
So what it can do, for example, so let's say every customer that's going in the shop, first of all, or that purchase any product, you can also automatically make them loyal customer by providing loyalty cards. Things like maybe work with partnership of local supermarkets, so make sure that all of your products or all of the food that you use is from a local area, because that may resonate with some customers that may think, oh, okay, he's only using products that are made from this area. I'll be happy to actually go into this kind of business. So these are the little subtle things that you can do to basically penetrate. And remember, market penetration is not about basically taking over everything. It's really just about thinking of various ways where you can slowly grow more.
Right. And I guess you were saying about the Chinese, right? So it's convincing customers who might like buy Chinese this evening to say, no,
Yeah.
you know what, buy roti instead today, right? And you're
There
just
you go.
grabbing more of those available customers.
Exactly.
What about for accountants then? So we've got the business we have as an accountant for creatives. So
Okay.
what can an accountant do to kind of penetrate and get more of the market share?
Okay, so when it comes to something like accounting, because it's financial service, you want to do something a little bit outside the box. So maybe create a creative network event in the local area to be able to build a client base. Maybe send out these invitations to all the businesses around. Let people know about your services, even if they don't use your services, but just by the sheer fact that you've made this effort, create this network event will actually increase your client base because now they've got you in your mind. They've got your services in your mind. Target your competitor clients as well. Basically provide them, once you've actually made this network event, maybe ask them a little question. How much are your services? How much does your accountant? Okay, do you know what? I will offer you, I will offer you maybe 30 or 40% less than what you're paying. This could potentially grab them. And once you've got them, and you've got to do everything to lock them in. But yeah, these are subtle things that maybe anyone that's out there is an accountant can maybe take away and actually try.
Yeah, so that idea of going after your competitors' clients, it's like, people get scared of doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, look, you're in business, right?
Yeah.
Business is business. So you actually have to think in those terms rather than, oh, no, I just want to stay small and stay with my little people. Go after the market, grab more of it, because this is about growing to the next level beyond that small business kind of level. Okay, so that's market penetration. Let's think about next one. Marvin, what's audience expansion?
So I think this is a nice continuation from what Stefan was just speaking about. So yeah, audience expansion is literally expanding your audience. So we're talking here about reaching a different audience and interacting with different customers than you would usually. So for an example of that, from my perspective, would be finding different channels to reach different customers. So, if we look back over the past year, we look at COVID and we look at some of the knock-on effects to that. What some people have been able to do, they've been able to move on to delivery services. So they understand, if we use the example of a roti shop, that they've not been able to have customers walking into their shop for part of the year. So what have they done? They've offered that service online, gone to Just Eat, Deliveroo, Uber Eats, and then they've expanded to a wider audience. So rather than just looking at, getting the same amount of money from the same customers, what they've done is looked at a completely different part of the market, looked at a new group of customer, different demographic, and then they've also provided a product or service for those customers.
Yeah.
Got you.
And so what I say about that, I think the roti restaurant is a good example because everyone eats, right? So, you just need to figure a way of making that person one of your customers. I think Stefan made a good point. They're already going to Chinatown. They're already going to Chinese restaurants. They already have hunger. They have appetite. But how can you make your business a viable option for them to turn to when they're feeling hungry? So that's a real big, and key part of audience expansion.
One example that comes to mind that I heard about is, the Cirque du Soleil, which is kind of the big, whatever. So all they are essentially is circus performers, right? Acrobats. And before they came along, the circus really used to be about targeting families with young kids. You'd have the strong man with the weights and the woman with the beard and the, all those kind of the elephants, that kind of stuff. And actually what they figured out was, no, you know what? Let's actually go for the men and women who are going out for dinner and looking for an like an adult entertainment experience. I don't mean adult entertainment, but like not a kids one, right? And let's target them as a new audience. So they created the Cirque du Soleil, still doing acrobatics, but doing acrobatics that felt so much more entertaining. And therefore, they just created an entire new audience for themselves of people who just would not have thought about going to the circus before. Because literally, Cirque du Soleil is just a glorified luxury circus. So that's an example.
I've just read Donna's question as well about how we could apply this to the charity world, and namely thinking about a charity like the 100 Black Men of London. I had an instant brainwave, Donna. It's almost like we were connected telepathically. And I think the reason why that question's so good is thinking about us over here in the UK. We're very small. We're powerful. Don't get me wrong, but we're a small market share of the population. And I think what we can look to do is work with allies and work with other people, because racism isn't our issue. We're not the ones with the problem. We know there are people out there who don't understand, and people out there that need to be enriched and enlightened and taught about our history, taught about who we are and the things that we do and the importance of us. And so I think that's a key example of how you can look to expand your market, that you almost go from looking inwardly in a microscope and kind of looking at a small group, but looking outwardly at a much larger potential audience base and thinking, if we cater to 10% of them, that might dramatically increase our, our membership, increase our subscriptions, increase the profits that we can make, because we're looking at a much larger audience base.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for that. Actually, that's a very good point on that. So it shows how you can think about it for every business or even a charity. What about for our accountant? How can our accountant think about expanding his or her audience?
So I think similar to, just building on what Stefan said earlier, I think looking at things like, we spoke before, Stefan gave the example of kind of having a local conference or like a networking event where you can appeal to the immediate market. So I think if we're looking at audience expansion, we can look at having a stall at a national business conference. So you can appeal to a much wider market. So remember here, this is all about casting your net much wider. So you've got a lot more potential customers. So yeah, having a stall at a national business conference and using social media advertising, and also sharing adverts in entrepreneurial groups and Black-owned business groups and lawyer firms as well. I think all of those tactics can be used to expand your audience.
Okay, I get you. So instead of only serving creatives, right, in the local area, you could either say, I'm going to serve creators in the national area, that's expanding your audience. Or you could say, well, actually, I'm an accountant. I don't have to only serve creatives. I could serve other kind of industries. Like I could be the accountant for lawyers, or I could be the accountant for Black businesses, right? So you're expanding the audience of people you serve. Yeah, okay, all right, that makes sense. All right, let's go on then. What's the next lever? So product line expansion. Derek, what does this mean?
So product line expansion, it says it on the name of the tin. So when you've got a particular service or a particular product, that's what you specialize in for the time being. But now you want to open this up to more audience and more customers. So for example, if we take that roti shop, they only sell roti at this point in time. Let's say, okay, let's add a new line to this. Let's add like jollof rice. So now they've got a side dish called jollof rice. There you go. Connor's interested. He's going to be there at that shop now, getting that side of jollof rice with his roti. Or if you didn't want to, you've got to target another audience that just wanted to have patty and cocoa bread. Because a patty and cocoa bread is really filling if you've ever had one. Or let's say on a Friday, for example, you wanted to do fish and chips. So you're doing something completely different, and you brought in a whole new product line, and you're serving a whole new customer base, and it will come every Friday, maybe after the pub or after having a football match. You're going to be doing fish and chips. And we could also do like, for example, you're doing a service inside the shop basically, but say you wanted to offer a service where you wanted to go to someone's home or a client's like a client's office space. You could provide like a chef sort of service. So you go there and cook. So, I've noticed recently that Michelin star chefs now offer a service where you can pay them to come and cook you a meal at your home, So, expansion your production line with services and products, will definitely, it's definitely one of the levers to increase the growth of your business.
Okay. And what about for our accountant? Actually, let's not forget our accountant. So what would product line expansion mean for an accountant?
So in the scenario of this accountant that we've got here, this accountant will only be currently only does your annual reports. So to expand your product line for an accountant that's only doing annual reports, let's say they start doing monthly bookkeeping. Now, if they did monthly bookkeeping, they could now break down, they could even offer a service of doing reports as well based on the bookkeeping. And this now allows the customer now to see how they're doing on a daily basis or weekly basis or a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, because this accountant has now provided a new service to them, which now means, okay, I can see every Tuesday we're making a killing. Now they got to investigate, why are we making a killing on every Tuesday? Can we make that killing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you know, so it opens the doors, you know. And not only that, they can also offer services like auditing. So companies that need auditing, you know, reconciling your bank statements, your credit card statements, everything to make sure you're on point, just in case HMR come knocking on your door, you know, you've got everything on point.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense, and yeah, shout out to HMRC, right? You gotta watch out for those guys. Yeah, so I like that because this is already giving us different ways we can think about growing, right? And it's not that you have to do all of them at once, but it means you can do more than just think about, okay, I just have to, you know, hope that a new customer walks past my door and try and grab them in, right? It's actually, no, I can try this. I can try a different audience, or I can go all in on the market, or I can try a different product. Or we can do market diversification. I'm going to take this one actually, because what I like about this is it's really, I think it's almost the one that makes you start to look much wider.
Yeah.
And just kind of the narrow way you do things. So for instance, because what it is about extending into new markets that you might not have been doing before. So the roti, for instance, could start to do cooking classes, right? Or roti making classes, right? So it's not the product itself, but it's people who might want to say, you know what, I'd like to be able to do that at home, or I'd like to be able to start my own business, or whatever it is. You start to do cooking classes, or you do workshop training, or you make a cookery book of, you know, 100 best roti recipes. I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing, right? But it's really just thinking about, can I extend my market to just a completely different category that still brings in income for my business? Or if you have a successful roti shop, you can consult, you know, hire out yourself as a consultant for other roti shops, you know, or for other entrepreneurs who want to start a roti in a different area and say, hey, listen, come to me and I'll, you know, pay me X amount and I'll actually show you how to do it successfully. So it's really thinking a bit wider of categories of how can I actually grow my market, as well as grow my market share. Then with the accountant, you know, the accountant can start an online program, maybe get into insurance consulting, or become financial advisors, right? And accountants are quite a clear mix. So you could actually add a financial advice element to it, or mortgage kind of advice, or selling. I think we talked about cryptocurrencies, right? So, you know, go all in on, I'm now doing cryptocurrency advice, or whatever it is. So I like market diversification because it really helps you to push the boundaries so that it doesn't feel limited to just one section. And then you'll figure out, oh, how can I go all in this section? Actually think, you know what, I could actually take the same talent I have and just go wider. So I always like market diversification. I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't think enough about it.
Definitely not.
Okay, so acquisition and merger. Let's see, Stefan. Well, Stefan and Dan, you guys on this.
Yeah. So again, that is something that a lot of small businesses do not actually think or have that in their radar when they think of acquisition or merger. They always tend to think this is like big Google or big international corporation that only do acquisition. But again, if we take the example of the roti Mayfair, you may be able to franchise. Now all of a sudden you've got one in Brixton, you've got one in you've got another one in what's it called, in Acne. So basically by buying and what you're doing is basically you're buying takeaways, or you're merging other takeaways with your brand, or you're basically turning other businesses that are not doing so well into your brand. So that's also another way for you to acquire more growth within the market by having the acquisition. And one thing as well that's good with the acquisition, for example, is if you buy another business, you actually may be able to acquire their staff. So you may not need to go and look for other staff. You may have people that are already within the industry. You're just showing them a different culture. And Derek, I think you've got an example for the accountant.
Yeah, very, very similar. So, you know, the franchise one, you can just do that for nearly any sort of business.
Yeah.
Once you've got a business model and you've worked it out and it works, and you've seen the way it can plan, you can pass it on to somebody else. You can actually take that franchise, sell it on, assist that person in building that franchise, and you can do that for nearly any business as long as you have the right business model. Now, it's similar for an accountant. You could do the franchising, you could do merging with another practice, you could buy another practice. You know, all of these things are all available to even the small business owner. So we should never ever rule out acquisition and mergers. It sounds like something that they only do in banks and all these high-end places. But I mean, you could be an accountant. I could have my accountancy on my road right here, and then basically I can see next door over there. They're not doing that well. I just merge with those guys over there. I've just taken on all their client base.
Yeah.
You know, we work together as a team, and now we've built our business. Like, we've doubled up our business. That person's going to be laughing. I'm laughing. We can go out. We can continue this, and if we kept on repeating that process, you know, who knows? You know, you start dominating a certain market or a certain area.
Yeah, and you know what I like about this is our small businesses often just don't think in these terms, right? It's effectively just buy growth, right? And you think, as I think Stefan, you were saying, that they think it's like only the big boys that do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's really, there's nothing different in a smaller business doing it. You're just doing it at a smaller scale, but the principle is the same. It's like, hey, why are we both struggling separately? Let's join forces. Our costs will reduce, right? And we'll have a greater market. So definitely want to consider in terms of acquisition and merger. Okay, so let's go on to market segmentation, which is one I think is very often underappreciated. Marvin, what is market segmentation? And maybe I'll do the accountant. You can take our roti business.
Sure. I think market segmentation is also almost the opposite of project line expansion. It's kind of drilling down and having that laser focus on one specific area, and allowing everything else to fall away in terms of looking at the wider customer base or the wider potential market. I think Stefan made a good point earlier when he was talking about being a PT and having to potentially turn away customers to focus on a particular customer journey and a particular person that needs your help, and that can become your specialism. So I think an example of that, for example, with the takeaway collar, I know you challenged me to see if I can come up with something for the roti business. But I think, you can specialize in, vegan only roti. You can have non-meat options, plant-based options for your customers, knowing that that's an emerging market in this country. And I think you can also do the opposite. You could have maybe like a beef only roti and become known as the market leader for beef only rotis. And that anyone that wants a beef roti, they're not going to look at any other business. They're going to come straight to you, and your name becomes synonymous with roti. That when someone thinks of roti, they think of your business. And what would you say for the accountant, from an accountancy perspective?
Well, it's similar, but what I liked about what you said is the people often have a problem with this one. But I think if you think about, I'm a specialist, that makes it easy to get your head around, right? So it's, as you said, I'm a specialist in vegan rotis, which means if I'm a customer and I'm looking for a roti, but I'm also vegetarian, and I see somebody says, I sell all sorts of rotis, and somebody says, I only sell vegan rotis. I have devoted my life to the perfection of the vegan roti, right? As a customer who's a vegetarian wants a roti, which one are you going to use? You're going to use the person who says, I'm a specialist in it. So as long as you've identified a big enough market in that niche, be the one person that's a specialist in it. And everybody who wants that product is going to think of you to go to. So with the accountant, for instance, I think accountant could say, well, let's in our current climate, right? You could say, you know what? I'm going to be the accountant for creatives who are also Black-owned businesses, right? And I'm going to go all in on that so that any Black creative who's looking for an accountant says, hey, you know what? This guy is actually saying he specializes in serving, and that's who is passionate about serving. I think they're going to give me a better service. Right? Or I'm going to be the accountant for creatives who want to pay in cryptocurrency, right? I don't know if there's a big enough market for that, but you know, if you start finding creators who like, oh yeah, no, we're really into crypto, and then you become the accountant that does that, then suddenly, yes, you've narrowed your market, but you've expanded your market share of that smaller market. So you've ended up with far more customers than if you were kind of generic rather than specialist. So that's why I think market segmentation really, really works well.
Exactly.
Which takes us on to the final one, which is partnerships. Let's come together. Let's partner up, and all of us kind of give our perspective on this. Derek, what is partnerships as a way of growth?
So very similar to the merger, kind of, you know, partnering up with people or partnering up with existing businesses to outsource. So just one quick one. For example, if you've got the roti business, you can use a delivery service such as Just Eat or Deliveroo. You know, that now expands your market. But say you only did 1 mile where your business was based. Now you're going 5 miles or 8 miles, depending on how long I guess the food is going to be heated up for until it gets to that destination. You know, that's a partnership between you and a service, an outsourced service that's already out there.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about you, Marvin? What's partnership as a way for you?
I think it links back to the point that we were making earlier about networking. That now that you've networked, you know, you can share your customers, as Derek highlighted, with another business, and they can also send traffic your way as well. So it's not being afraid to use some of those relationships to say, okay, you know, we make this product, we provide this service. If you need something else, why don't you look over there? Because I know someone, they're reliable, they're trusted, and you can work with them. And then similarly, they can refer people back to you. So you could be a roti restaurant that will refer people that maybe they want jerk chicken, for example, and that's not something you provide. And similarly, if someone had that jerk chicken restaurant and they wanted to refer people that wanted roti, they can send them your way as well.
Yeah, no, I get that. And what, Stefan, anything from an accountant creator's point of view that they can think as a partnership?
Of course, as an accountant, you should know that HMRC is your best friend. So why not partnership? Partner with them. You know, there's so many firms out there that you could definitely partner. Maybe just partner or partner your services with maybe a particular company that specializes in one particular industry, maybe for a couple of months, maybe for a whole year. But by showing that level of partnership in a very specific area or with a specific institution, it also does bring you a little bit of brand awareness. You know, let's say, for example, yourself, you're able to partner up with HMRC. Do you know, in terms of perception, how that looks to other people? As an accountant that literally is partnered with HMRC, that automatically people think, oh yeah, he's really on point with his numbers. He can make everything disappear, so to say.
Yeah, and you know, so I why I like partnerships is I like the fact that it kind of says, you know what, I'm going to bring other people in to help do the work for me as well.
Yeah.
Right. So for instance, in my coaching business, I actually, with clients that I have coached, I actually give them an option that's effectively like an affiliate option, a referral option that says, hey, listen, you've been coached by me. It's had the outcome and the impact you wanted. If you know other people that you think they could benefit too, refer them, tell them to mention your name. You get 25% of whatever fee they pay. No arguments, no whatever, right? Works really well. Had, you know, people doing that. And what's nice about that is the people they are speaking to, I would never know how to reach, right? They're just not in my network, right?
Yeah.
But they're out there being my advocates, being my ambassadors, and bringing work to me. And I think when we think of partnerships, we should really start thinking about how can we have mutually beneficial partnerships.
That's
right?
it.
The accountant partners with lawyers, right? And the accountant says, hey, listen, whenever I have my clients, they're going to have legal issues, I'll pass them to you. You have legal clients, they're going to have accounts issues, pass them to me, right? The roti business you were saying, like, catering, and you have different, groups like, oh, okay, look, we'll do a thing together, and, you'll do the roti option, I'll do the Chinese option, whatever it is. I think I like it because it just expands your network and makes everything kind of funnel business into you without you having to really do the work, as long as you get the right partnership. So it's a really interesting and productive method of growth that, again, so many of our Black-owned businesses just don't tap into.
Yeah.
And what I like about this workshop is we're trying, I think, to really expose our entrepreneurs to how many options there are available for us to grow our businesses, right?
Definitely.
So that we don't stay stuck, as Marvin, you were saying at the beginning, in that small kind of micro level, and never getting beyond 1 month's, step away from
Exactly.
right? Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So guys, man, we've gone through the 3 steps, right? Gone through the 3 steps. Yeah, let's see if there's a question. I know I had a question in which was asking, do I have to do all of these steps at all of these different levers at the same time, or can I pick and choose? I think we kind of already talked about it, but Marvin, do you want to what's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about analyzing your business. If we go back to the points that we made around things like leadership, about understanding your market, it's all down to, tailoring it to your business. The way I like to think of this is like a buffet. Take what you will, leave what's not relevant or what's not necessary for your business at this moment in time. So I think it's about going through your business, its operations, and even speaking with your staff and even your customers, and going through that with a fine-tooth comb and thinking, okay, where are the options for us? It's very easy to kind of say that the problems are out there and there's nothing we can do. But when you look internally, there's often a lot you can do with your self-awareness that you can then make a change in your business. So I think, I would say it's a buffet. Take it all if that's your appetite and you can manage it. If not, pick and choose what you want to focus on for now and come back to the rest later. It will still be there.
Very, very good point. We've got another question from Andrew, actually, which is there any relevance for a cash reserve to sustain the business when difficult times occur? Let's see. Derek. Having a cash reserve. Where does it fit into the 3 steps, I wonder, actually, the importance of having a cash reserve?
Say that part again, Colin.
I was just saying the question is about having a cash reserve to sustain the business when difficult times occur. Of the 3 steps we've identified, where would you say that fits in as something to consider?
Whoa, it's definitely going to be your numbers. It's definitely a numbers game. That question there. So
that was step 2, right? The bad practices and avoiding them, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you definitely need your numbers. You definitely need to know the targets you want to reach, but also what this question is basically saying, you should have a buffer that you put away just in case you had these bad months, to weather through these bad months. Yeah. So definitely know your numbers, know what you can put away aside. It's just like, when people say they work, and in a working environment, they always say, try to save like 3 months to 6 months worth of salary, just in case anything happens. Very similar, business needs to do something very similar model, where they need to save or put away enough cash to weather the storm.
So there's another question that I had. Actually, they didn't post it in here, but it was asked earlier. And Stefan, actually, I wonder on this for you, which is, how do you keep kind of your spirits up and keep trying these different growth modules when they don't seem to be working? Right?
Okay.
You keep going.
All right. So I want everyone that's listening to this, all my entrepreneurs or my small business owners, you really, as you already know, it's a war path out there. So, just literally being open is always a struggle. It's difficult enough, but you have to really think about everything you're trying. You have to straight away analyze, what was the outcome? Did you get the outcome that you required? Did it actually show you something that you didn't know? You always have to be learning, because the more you learn, for example, let's say with the accountant. So after he done his conference, how many business did he get out of that? Was it just no one? If it's no one, then it's really, okay, what did I do wrong? How come maybe I didn't have business card. Maybe I didn't offer my services. Maybe I didn't, you know, I wasn't salesy enough. Maybe I let the conversation go on about West Ham for too long. You know,
that can never be a problem, man.
you know. So realistically, you always have to self-analyze everything that you do, everything that you try. And if it fails, you have to really pick up and see where it failed and see if you can restart it and basically just tweak the failures that you notice. And if there's a better result, then you know, okay, this is something not to do. I should carry on. Literally, that's how I think every entrepreneur should really maneuver.
Okay, I get you. And what I like about that is that it means that even if you've done something that hasn't resulted in growth, you still have learned. So you have still progressed, right? You've learned what doesn't work. So you've eliminated that. And you're kind of going forward. It's like people always forget, like the Model T Ford, right? Like, oh, the Model T Ford. It's like, yeah, there was a whole load of models before it got to T, right? So sometimes you've got to go through that before you kind of find the thing that works. I'm going to take because we've got to a half past, which I think was where we want to aim. There's a final question that's just interesting, not necessarily growth related, but I just wanted to ask, which says, do you think cryptocurrency will level the playing field for young people and Black people as money becomes digital? Oh, that's from Lloyd, right? So it's not necessarily growth related, but I like it because, you know, we talked about market diversification or market penetration, so it's kind of like charting uncharted territory as a way to grow. So guys, floor is open. I know we talked a little bit crypto before. What do you think about this?
I mean, if I'll just say something quickly, then you can take over, Derek. I know you're more in that field. I mean, I've got a little bit of investment in it, but I will say purely from a first mover in terms of advantage, I think it's a brilliant idea in terms of if there's a business, you are one of the first ones saying, you know what, we accept those cryptocurrency. The buzz might actually be bigger than you actually trying to shout all your services. Just by saying that we accept cryptocurrency, it can sort of pretty much produce a word to mouth aspect. So in terms of the playing field, all I can say for me personally, I think we will just have to see. We will see. It's very exciting because we're going in areas that we've never seen before, but let's just see where it takes us.
Yeah. How about you, Mr. Crypto? Because I know you're a man.
Crypto, geez. Yeah.
Did you notice the way Stefan says, yeah, you know, I got a couple of Bitcoins here and there.
Yeah, I definitely like this area that we're going into for cryptocurrency. For the young people, what I do like about it is the young people are very excited about cryptocurrency. So even if they're not even taking on board the whole entrepreneurship, you know, this cryptocurrency has so many opportunities. You're not just only buying cryptos, you know, you can mine them, you can be a masternode which checks the system to see how it works. You can put them in sort of what they call savings, which is called got staking, you know, you got things called yield farming. There's so many buzzwords at the moment, you know, there's a lot going on in the crypto space. You know, so I definitely think the young people should definitely get inspired and all excited about this particular topic. And they should be, if they got the right mindset, it will open them up thinking, if I started, you know, because a lot of young people, especially our diamonds, for example, they want to sell like T-shirts and hats. But imagine you started selling your T-shirts and your hats and you did let a fraction of Bitcoin come into you, or Dogecoin. Like Dogecoin is one of the ones that's right out there right now that people keep going on about. If you did actually open that up and you open up the doors to allowing your business to accept these cryptocurrencies, you know, it's definitely a way sort of future. And if you've been reading the news lately, you know that the governments all around the world have all started looking into digital money. As what Lloyd, everybody's looking into digital money at this point in time. So how that's going to work once that actually gets finalized and it's all here, how does that work against the cryptocurrencies that's out there right now? Yeah, who actually knows what's going on? But it's a movement where if enough people have put enough interest in it and are just doing, because if everyone today just said, I'm only going to use Bitcoin and just sold all their fiat and bought Bitcoin, you know, it would mean that no matter what the government's done, everyone's just going to use Bitcoin regardless whatever they do with their new currency. So it's just there's massive movements that can take place with this cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I'd also say on the back of that, Derek, I think fortune favors the brave. And I think, there's something to be said of being an early adopter, stepping into an unknown industry. There's a lot of risk, but there's a lot of potential as well.
Yeah.
And Derek, even as you were speaking about t-shirts, I know like NFTs, like digital artwork are really popular. There was one auctioned a few months ago, Beeple auctioned a digital artwork, which is an NFT, 66 million is where it sold for.
Yeah.
This is just a digital piece of art. You don't actually physically own anything.
Wow.
But it just shows that non-fungible token. It just shows you that you might not always have the answers on the inside. You need to research, you need to see what's emerging and be brave and step into those. Don't risk everything on it. But dabble, step into it, dip your toe in and see what's there, because there's a lot that can be gained from it.
Why I like this in particular is because we, and by that I mean we, the Black community, are so often pioneers, right? We pioneer so many areas, and then others like benefit from it, right? So I would like to see us kind of lead on this and dominate it. And kind of, I've always said that about tech. I think we should go all in on that. I think if this is a way, we should go all on that as well. So yeah, I like it as an idea. Okay, look, there's another question here. Look, we got time, right? Let's do one more, which is how can group economics help to build more Black-owned businesses? What do we think, guys? I mean, I can see partnerships really playing into that, obviously. Any other thoughts on how we do that or how we benefit from that?
I mean, this question, as small as it is, has so many different layers to it.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It's really a nuclear bomb, It's just got so many different avenues that you can take with it. But I am a big advocate in terms of group economics, and that's one of the reasons why I love the 100 Black Men of London, because they do focus on the aspect of financial education, because I believe that that's one of the keys that's going to basically sort of build that Black-owned economy, that Black economy, should I say, or that Black pound, should I say, because, it's so good having that spending power, but if you do not know how to reinvest it, then it becomes a problem. And just kind of going back to the old question, this is why I also love cryptocurrency, because it's thrown so many people now in the stock market, which for many years was always a myth. People lose money in there. It's gambling, Now a lot of people are realizing it's not gambling. It actually, I'm able to make a lot more money than when I go to work.
Yeah.
And just that alone is revolutionary. So, yeah, that's my part.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. This has so many layers and angles to it, and we're the end, right? So let's not over delve into it, except to say part of the reason why we have built this program where we're doing it while we're working with entrepreneurs is really because we know how important it is for us to create businesses that build the wealth of our community. Marvin, as you were saying, why growth matters, right? That build the wealth so that we have economic power, so we have political power, so our people do better, so that we can change, criminal justice issues because they have to listen to us. All the things that it plays into really matters. And if we can rely on group economics as part of that package so that we build our own value internally as well as externally, then we're just gonna really, really be where we want to be. So yeah, use the 3 steps to growth as a way for your individual businesses. And imagine if all of our businesses did this, then we really would be the businesses that kind of stand out in the world. Yeah. Guys, I think we definitely got to close it there. I have so much enjoyed, as saying, it's like getting the band back together, right? Doing this with you guys, especially cool to do it live as well. If you've been watching this and you really want to know more, or you're interested in our program, we're going to post, I hope we're going to post somewhere, I think, on the Facebook page or the YouTube channel. We'll post the link to a questionnaire where you can tell us what kind of things you'd be interested in finding out about the program that we run. and show your interest, and then we will basically keep all that information, and then as we build the program, we will kind of let you know, and that helps us also know what kinds of things you're interested in. But we're very passionate about business. It's part of our For the Future as 100 Black Men of London, which is mentoring, education, health and wellness, and economic empowerment. So we hope you've enjoyed this session, this free session. If you want to know more, reach out to us as the 100. If you're interested in joining, we always need good people to join the 100. Don't delay. Actually reach out to us for joining, because I think each of us, as you can tell, it's one of the best things I know I can say for myself. One of the best things I've ever done in my life is joining the 100 and taking action for my community rather than just kind of talking about it. And I can see from the nods that my brothers.
Yeah.
So listen, let's say our final goodbyes. Derek, final word from you.
Just follow the 3 steps. If you can, you don't have to do all of them in one go. Take them all in baby steps, and you'll see differences.
Love it. Absolutely. Marvin?
Just building on for what Derek said, the best time to have done this was 10 years ago. Second best time is from today. So, that's 100%. The best time to start.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Mr. Bitcoin fan?
I would just say, listen, entrepreneur is hard. It's not going to get easier, but you just got to start. You just got to get in there, and you just got to have the mindset of just learning and having the vision of growth, just what we said. And trust me, like Marvin said, in about 10 years' time, you'll be sitting in a completely different world.
Yeah. And kind of my final word would be, you can do this because this is what other businesses that succeed do. And in my work as a lawyer and a communications coach, which means I interact with businesses and business people, everything from large multinationals to small individuals, I have noticed that there is no monopoly on genius. Right? Literally, there isn't. I've met incredible entrepreneurs who are at the small level. I've met terrible people who are at the top of big companies. So this is just about paying attention to what you want to do to build your business, going through the steps, doing it, trying it, see what works, and then keep going. But do it because we need our businesses to thrive. So this is us, the 100 Black Men of London, the economic empowerment team. Derek, Marvin, Stefan, me, Colarelation, IK saying thank you guys for tuning in. We hope this helped. See you when we do the next one.
Yeah.
Cheers.
See you later.
Sign us out, Derek.